What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. Episode 2, since we've been back, should be a good one, should be fun. We're going to rip a few drafts. We're going to talk some strategy, some roster construction stuff. We kind of talked about it last episode there a little bit. We touched on it. We got some charts to get into. We can dig into that. That'll be good, I think. Hopefully people find value in that. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially this year and this year's landscape and this year's draft board, how it kind of shakes out, which we'll get into in a second here. We're not going to talk too much before we get into everything, just because we got some stuff to do. But we got Pepper Tony, who's Fimsed in here, and Jeff is not Fimsed. And if you ain't Fimsed, you're last. So sorry about it. We can rip the Frenchie if you want. I'm happy to do that. Single entry. I'm definitely obviously going to get an entry into that one. That's a fun tournament. Big big advance rate. And then small final, which is kind of cool. So I'm definitely going to rip that. Hartman just wrapped up his show. So if you don't follow Hartman, jump over there, give him a follow, give him a like. Always good content over there. How you doing, brother? Appreciate you. We got Frog Clone in here. GM. Green Bean in the house. What's up, man? Good evening to you as well. New collector. How you doing? Appreciate you guys popping in and drafting with me. Let's pop open the spreadsheet. You might recognize this one from last year, but I did want to dig into it again and kind of talk through it. So there's the 11 personnel we talked about the other day as well. But we're gonna dig into this tonight a little bit. We got Doc79 in here. How you doing, brother? Al Boogie in the house. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys popping in. Let's talk through this roster construction stuff. So I think it's super, as you guys know, if you're watched the channel for any amount of time, I'm super focused on roster construction, especially when it comes to Best Ball Mania. I think it's super important. It's really all that matters. If you ask me, if you have a well-constructed team, I think you're going to do well and you're going to have a chance to advance. You're going to have a chance to win the tournament, that sort of a thing. So let's talk through some roster construction stuff and what I think can win, what I know is not used a ton, and just what I'm doing personally. And we'll see if you guys agree or disagree. We can have some discourse about it. 3 QB would be a mistake. See a lot of people making Frenchie 7, 1-4, then 1-2 advance in the playoffs. No need to deep QB rooms with small playoff pods. I don't think you should be drafting 3 quarterbacks much at all this year. Has been what I've been saying since literally even the big board. I do a lot of 3 QBs in the big board because you have 2 extra rounds, obviously. But when it comes to Best Ball Mania season, I'm a 2 QB kind of guy, typically, always. And we'll get into that when it comes to this roster construction conversation as well. Jerry's in the house. What's up, brother? Appreciate you. We're back. Yes, round 2, episode 2, since we're back in action. So let's dig into this. Let's go. We got the spreadsheets here. Freaking the spreadsheets a little bit when it comes to stuff like this. Like I said, roster construction super important to me. So we've got through 6 rounds here pulled up right now. The next slide is through 10 rounds. I think the through 10 rounds is much more important. Again, given especially the quarterback landscape. Again, we talked about this a little bit on last episode, but we're going to dig a little deeper today before we draft. So this was based on last year and what I thought would win and what I thought made a lot of sense last year. Actually, it'd be interesting because I didn't take a look at Sam Sherman's team and what actually won Best Ball Mania, and I didn't see how he started through 6 round, 10 rounds. I'd like to do that actually, but I do know how he drafted quarterback wise, and it was the exact same thing that I was doing. It's what I thought would win, and here we are. So they, pat on the back. But again, I think it's less important through 6 rounds this year than it was last year. It's more important through 10 rounds. But again, let's dig into it here. So again, for me, last year it revolved around running backs. For the last few years, it revolved around running backs. If you can pull up the what's his name? The BBMDB guy that has the database now. I checked my name. I'm not willing to pay for it, so I don't know exactly everything about it, but I searched my name quick to see what pulled up, and throughout my history of a drafter, I've been a robust RB drafter. Why? Because everyone else was drafting 0 RB for years and years and years, and I didn't think it made any sense. I didn't think that was the correct strategy. And guess what? Every Best Ball Mania winner started RB. So there you go. Turns out, again, a little pat on the back for your boy on that one as well. Zero RB didn't necessarily work. Maybe it had a good advance rate, high-end scores, but it's not what won. So anyways, this year, I think the roster construction conversation revolves around the quarterback position. Again, it's more important through 10 rounds. So there's really not a lot here in the 6 rounds that I think really is a differentiator. Again, last year I thought a 1-2-2-1 build, so an early tight end would have been quality start. Putt Daddy's in here. Let's do this one first. UD released BBM 6 data in mid-May. Just a heads up that you can add to the spreadsheet now too. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm relying on someone like Big Brain Billy Jones to help me out with that. But I'll see if I can track that down and get the BBM 6 stuff in here. Though I don't think it's as important because I think it's going to revert back to previous seasons. Again, we're going to get into that a little bit, but I would like to have it just for the data, but I don't think it's like, exceptionally necessary for what we're talking about tonight, but I am going to dig into that. I appreciate that. Putt Daddy's in the house. How you doing, man? He started a 0-1-4-1. 0-1-4-1. There you go. I thought that made some sense for sure. Absolutely made a little bit of sense to do that. Not the best advance rate as far as percentage wise. Not a massive amount. It's not the most popular. It's a very popular strategy, right? So that's interesting that's how he started. Again, I think it was a little bit different. Oh, here we go. Billy Jones in the house. The man, the myth, the legend. I will literally cut the extra data today. Billy Jones is the man. If you don't follow Billy Jones, man, you're doing yourself a disservice. The dude's a goddamn genius. So do yourself a favor. Go follow him on the Twitter machine. Interact with the man. Posting it before the weekend is done. You're the best. You're the man. Explains to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Okay, so the build through 4 rounds is on the side here. 0 quarterbacks, 0 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 2 tight ends is what this is saying. This is based on running backs. So 0 running backs, line, 1 running back, line, 2 running backs, line, 3 running backs through 4 rounds. Through 6 rounds. Jesus. That's the build. This is BBM 5, 4, 3, 2, right? And then these are the percentages of teams that were drafted with this structure through 6 rounds. That's this year, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the average of all 4 years. Same thing if you're going down the line, right? So this build 1041 got more popular last year, BBM 5, than it was by quadruple any other year, which is kind of wild. And then the average. So same thing with this build, right? You get the picture there. Then this is the advance rate for builds that were started on the left-hand side there, right? So how many advanced in BBM 5, how many advanced in BBM 4, 3, 2, right? And then the average through 4 years, right? Hopefully that makes sense and adds up, right? So then what I did is I took this and kind of thought through my strategy and how I wanted to build teams structurally. And then I wanted to find somewhat unique starts that weren't the most popular. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 0, 12% of the BBM teams drafted over the course of all of BBM. So last year in BBM 5, it wasn't exceptionally popular, but 17% of teams in BBM 4 started this way, right? So I'm thinking that's not the greatest way to start because you can get less unique sort of a thing, right? But it had a very high advance rate, literally second highest advance rate, right? So looking at that, I was like, man, a 1140 makes a little more sense. It's a lot less common by half and higher advance rate, right? So that's what this is saying. Same thing for the through 10 rounds, right? But this is just a little more nuanced. We'll get there in a second through 10 rounds. We're almost wrapped up here. The 6 rounds, I don't think matters as much at all this year. I think it's the 10 rounds. Best advance rates are 3-4 QBs, 3-4 tight ends, maybe through 18 rounds, maybe. Yeah, as far as advance rate, but typically aren't winning. I know you did, Ray Zanny. I know you won with a 4 quarterback build, but that's not very common. And I think we all know that. That's a smart 5-year-old. I got a nice breakdown. Appreciate you. All good, man. Appreciate you. 2 hours past my bedtime trying to keep up. You're the man, L Boogie. You're the man. So yeah, again, I don't think it's as important this year through 6 rounds is what we're getting at. So let's jump to the 10 rounds. I think that this is much more prudent. We need to pay attention. Again, I think it's the quarterback strategy that it revolves around. For me, it does anyways. So like I said, let's go back to what I was saying last year. What I was saying last year is you have to get your quarterbacks between rounds 8 and 12. That's the quarterback kind of window that you have to be buying quarterback last year. And it's actually always, literally every single year in Best Ball Mania, that's what won. Quarterbacks through between rounds 8 and 12. That's what's won every single year. And I'm not kidding. Go back and look. So again, that maybe should be what we should be basing our roster construction on is quarterback cost, right? So maybe I was wrong last year. Maybe this year I'll be a little bit better because it should be based on your quarterback pricing and your quarterback structure. So if I'm stopping at 2 quarterbacks, which I am almost every single time, I most certainly want to have 2 quarterbacks within that window. Is the window rounds 8 through 12 this year? No, we've talked about that a lot, right? It's not 8 through 12 anymore. It's moved up 2 rounds, essentially. The quarterback window is 6 through 10 for me. So that's where I'm going to be drafting 2 quarterbacks on almost every single Best Ball Mania team, and I'm going to be stopping at 2, right? So then what I haven't done yet, and I haven't looked at this before we jumped on live. I just wanted to do this kind of organically, get some feedback from the chat, and see what we think and see what we can find. So if I'm picking 2 quarterbacks through 10 rounds every single draft, well, literally not every single, but probably 9 out of 10, 90% of my drafts, I'm going to have 2 quarterbacks through 10 rounds and I'm stopping at 2. So then I'm going to look at these builds with 2 quarterbacks. Again, this is based more on running backs. So 1 running back, 2 running backs, 3 running backs, 4 running backs, right? So I did just take a quick peek at it before we went live, and I think that this is going to be kind of my meta this year, the 2-4-4-0. So 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers. Though I'm probably going to be a little bit more 2-5-3-0, where again stopping at 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers through 10 rounds. And what do you know? They are the highest advance rate. Start through 10 rounds, 2-4-4-0 is literally the highest. And then, besides the 5 running backs through 10 rounds, you could do that. But if your goal is to advance, then cool, advance, get your money back and move on with your life. My goal is to try to win. So I'm not drafting 5 running backs through 10 rounds personally. Next highest is, like we just said, the 2-4-4-0. Third highest, 1-4-5-0. Fourth highest, 2-3-5-0. So that's probably going to be what I'm focused on this year. And again, looking at how common this structure is drafted, 3.26% of the time, a 2-3-5-0 team is drafted through 10 rounds. That's pretty good. 1-3-5-1, the most balanced build you can have through 10 rounds. 20% of teams are drafted in that structure through 10 rounds. And it's not even close to being the highest advance rate structure. So that's what I'm trying to avoid again this year. We talked about it a lot last year, trying to avoid the 1-3-5-1. And I'm going to, be doing that again this year, again, considering I want 2 quarterbacks by then anyways. So again, 3.26% of the time and the third highest advance rate through 10 rounds, give me a 2-3-5-0. And then next up, less than that, 2.23 for a 2-4-4-0, and it's the second highest advance rate, right? So that's what I'm going to be pretty focused on. Again, I haven't dug into this on my own and I'm going to change how this is all highlighted, red, green, yellow. You see what's going on there. I'm going to change how that's highlighted. This is what I wanted to get at. So then basically what I did from there is I kind of extrapolated or kind of worked backwards as far as this is where I want to get to through 10 rounds, call it a 2-5-3-0, 2-4-4-0. That's what I want to get through 10 rounds. So what structures, can I employ through 6 rounds in order to get to one of those two structures, right? Again, I'm going to redo this, and maybe we'll talk about this on another stream, where I change the highlighting and figure out which structures through 6 can lead me down the path to end up at one of those two types of builds through 10 rounds. And there may be some other ones that I like as well. But that's kind of what I wanted to get into this to kick it off, kind of a thing. And last year, a 2440 was actually on the board. 2350 was on the board too. That's interesting. So those are two structures that I was focusing on last year. And I think we can get there this year as well. So that's fun. I don't think it'll look a crazy amount different, which is kind of interesting to me, considering, again, like I'm basing this off quarterback pricing, not off of running back pricing, where last year it was fully built off of running back pricing. So that'll be interesting to see where we get to, and we'll circle back on this in another stream. I might have the best advance rate in all of you do over the last 2 years. That's, so does Gritty. Gritty has a great advance rate too. I'm not focused on advance rate personally. I want to be right around standard is fine by me. I don't really care if I have one team that advances and one team that wins a tournament. That's good enough for me. I'm more focused on my overall, return on investment, which is a negative. I'm not going to lie. It's not a positive, that's for sure. But, hopefully I can change that this year. All it takes is one. And again, Ray, you know that better than anyone. Come draft the guys undercover. Liam's Josh Allen was round 5, I believe. No, I'm pretty sure he was like round 10. That was when Josh Allen was really young. He was just coming up. He wasn't the Josh Allen that we know. That was his big breakout season of that year. And I actually, if you go back to one of my first, it was the same year that I believe it was the exact same year that I started streaming. Go back to one of my first videos where I did quarterback rankings, and I had Josh Allen higher than anybody. I took some heat for how high I had Josh Allen ranked, and turned out to be right. And that was that year. So he was not drafted that high. Josh Allen was not the Josh Allen that we know of right now when he was drafted on Liam's team. So pretty positive on that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive on that one. Caught a BBM today. JT in first, Cook in second. Nice. That's unique. That's definitely unique. My goal is to not sleep naked in public again. Man, not again, hey? Not again. Never again. You lose like a full percentage if you go from receiver to quarterback or tight end in the first 10 rounds. From receiver or quarterback to tight end in the first 10 rounds. Yeah, I'll have to dig into that, but it depends on really the structure. But I could see that being true. I would have to really look at it. But pretty much like 19%, 0 quarterbacks, 18.2, 0 quarterbacks, 18.6, 0 quarterbacks, 17 point, almost 18, 0 quarterbacks. This is the only one right here, 1441. But again, it's super, super common. But yeah, you could be right on that. I'm avoiding quarterback early this year, that's for sure. Love the Bengals jersey in the back. I'm from Rhode Island, rep for the Bengals. Atta baby. You got to be a Bengals fan across the world. We're breaking down barriers. We're going to be good this year. Bengals are going to be real good this year. I'm stoked. Break even puts you as a top 10% BBM earner of all time. Literally almost anyone. Everyone who plays BBM is in the red. 100%. Like pretty much anyone that says they're a winning player, if they don't have a win or a top 10 finish in Best Ball Mania, they're probably lying. So there you go. I believe it was round 5, Josh Allen. So maybe that sounds crazy to me at that time. But maybe it was. Maybe it's every other year. I went over it on stream with Candyman. That we were talking about that, and it was like the last 4 years in a row or something like that. So maybe, and we just didn't go back that far. That's possible, but either way, even for 1441, it gets beat by 2350, 1450. Exactly. I think that's the only one you can kind of justify it, with. But again, like I'm going to stay away from that because I can't justify not taking a quarterback in that window personally. So I'm going to have a hard time clicking the any tight end. And again, it's just part of my structure essentially that I'm going to stick firmly to when drafting Best Ball Mania teams, which we're not going to draft tonight. We can if you guys want, but that's not the plan. The plan isn't to draft. Actually, we can't because I have to get some puppies in. So that's or not puppies, poodles. So that's what we're going to do tonight for sure. We can do the what's it called? Frenchie, right? Yeah, we can do the Frenchie if you want, but we're going to jump into a poodle right now. Let's do that. I have 5 more to draft, so I kind of got to get my ass in gear on. We're full. Sorry, guys. I don't know if anybody got in there. We just jumped in and we're right full. Maybe jump into the overflow, another draft, and draft along with us. We got the 4 spot. We're going to pull up on Best Ball overlay, just the poodles. And make sure we're not overdrafting certain players. So that's not necessarily the focus in the poodle. The same draft strategy they just went over. That's mainly for Best Ball Mania. You can use that for puppies as well. It's any sort of a larger field final is kind of like with the poodle being half the final, less than half the final of Best Ball Mania. It's not as important to build out structurally. I think you can get a little bit more funky. Plus, it's a time box tournament, the poodle. So I don't think it's as important to stay strict to those firm, roster construction rules. But I will stay firm to those rules when it comes to Best Ball Mania. So, yeah. Which I've already drafted almost 50 BBMs. I wanted to get a good chunk done before training camp this year. I usually wait. I usually stick to fill rate, but I wanted to get a little ahead of it beforehand. So that's what we've done this year. We'll see how that goes, how that works. I am going to try to even out exposures a little bit, but that means Puka anyways, so that's good. Let's take Puka here. So yeah, I wanted to get ahead of it. I think I will probably max Best Ball Mania this year again. And then we'll see how it goes after that. But I did want to get ahead of the game, and we'll see. I might take a little bit of a break. I actually don't think that the draft rooms are very juicy right now. They're a little bit tougher right now. I think when draft season opened, there was definitely a little more flexibility there, I felt like. And now it feels like it's tightened up. So I'm kind of outside of the time box tournaments, I might take a little bit of a break on the Best Ball Mania stuff, but we'll see how it goes. I have 5 more poodles and then a Frenchie to draft. And then if nothing else comes out, I'll probably stick to Best Ball Mania. Filled up on next draft. Anyone wants to draft? There you go. Jump in with Ray. Draft over there. Like I said, sometimes I like to draft outside of the stream. This would have been a good one because there's not many, the chat in here, which makes it a lot more difficult to draft against the chat because everybody's good drafters out there that usually watch these types of streams. So it's nice to get one without the peeps in it, though I did not mean to, obviously. But I usually like to do that actually when I'm watching other guys stream. I'll draft either a different tournament or a different draft, so I'm not in with all of these quality drafters. Try to get a little bit of EV and then just kind of play along and have fun that way. That's what I like to do personally because, it's nice to have a little bit of EV, considering how much streamers kind of give away. If I can keep a little bit on the side, then that's something I like to do. I think your draft strategy would do well in the Frenchie 7. Math behind 3QB is more outs and a deeper advancement structure. I'd argue 3QB is negative EV in the Frenchie 7. Yeah. Again, are we talking about win equity or are we talking about advance equity? So I don't know if it's, I get the advance equity when we're talking about Best Ball Mania and the puppies and stuff like that, but win equity, I personally think it's lower. Could I be wrong on that? Sure. I could be wrong on that. But Brock Bowers at the top of my ranks and ADP. Whoops. I'm going to see if I have him with Puka. I don't. That's awesome. I probably still would have taken him even if I had him with Puka, but we'll take a peek at it. Got to follow JSN to 9. Nice. That's nice. I like JSN a lot. The projections like JSN quite a bit. Realistically, there's just nothing else in that offense, and the running game is going to be a hell of a lot worse. So it's hard to find a way that he doesn't at least come close to reproducing what he did last year. And they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. They're going to have to. I don't really love the vibes around Chris Olave right now, plus some 21%. So I'm not going down that road. I'm not taking Trey McBride as well. I like Etienne here. So I think I'll go down that road. Don't have him with Puka. That's cool. Doesn't really matter. Do I have him with Bowers? I don't. Cool. Makes a lot of sense. Let's do that. That's a nice fall on JSN, though, I'll tell you that. No Poodles, Frenchie, or Pitbulls left. Need Underdog to drop more tourneys. Yeah, I hear you. There's got to be a puppy coming out soon, I'd imagine. It's crazy how long that Pitbull's taken to fill. That's wild. I maxed that thing, like fucking 2 months ago, it feels like. I thought that thing was going to fill fairly quickly, so it's kind of like I didn't need to fill it as fast as I did, obviously. So I'm kind of choked that I drafted so quickly in the Pitbull. I love that structure. It's a phenomenal structure, but I did think that the draft room was a little bit softer at the time. So maybe that'll work out in my favor. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like there's got to be a puppy coming in hot soon enough. I don't know what else they got. Like a Chihuahua, maybe something like that. It's got to be coming up soon enough. Training camp opens for some teams, it's like 3 weeks, which is crazy to think about. But I think, who is it? The Seahawks or something? The Seahawks and the Texans or something like that, I think, that play in the Hall of Fame game. I think they report in 3 weeks, 24 days, 21 days, something like that. That's wild and awesome, which means, we're getting closer to football season. I was referencing advanced equity. That's the thesis behind 3QB. Yeah. And again, I agree. But I just think there's less win equity there. So, I'm not a 3QB bro. So yeah, sometimes you get forced into it. It is what it is. Like I definitely have some teams 3, 5, 7, 3, 3, 6, 7, 2, stuff like that. I definitely have some 3QB teams in my portfolio, but I try to avoid it whenever I can. Again, also try to stop at 2 tight ends, which I know I'm going to be doing right now. But it's harder to stop at 2 tight ends this year. It's harder to justify because, again, like we were talking about, Hartman was talking about, I was talking about with the spreadsheets there, it's not very it doesn't make sense to take tight end early. It really doesn't have much win equity or advance equity, to be honest. Maybe the win equity is there, but I don't really recall too many elite tight end teams winning. Like the George Kittle team won last year for Sam Sherman. He was probably like a 5th or 6th round pick, something like that, but he was injured at the time and didn't even play. So, yeah, I don't recall like the Kelsey teams of old winning, but I don't know. So this team's dead. Obviously, Bowers in the 2nd round. Team's dead. That's unfortunate. What are we going to do here? Probably wide receiver. Pretty much definitely wide receiver. Would have been McLaurin, would have been an auto click right there. There aren't any stacks to set up. Doesn't really look like it. I don't want to double tap the Rams. So it's basically Waddle or Jameson Williams. Who do we like more? Let's just veer on the side of playoff schedule, and let's go with Jameson Williams. I think the playoff schedule is better with JMO. I do think that something I've been thinking about the last 2 days is the Lions. I think they're going to be forced into a lot of shootouts this year with obviously the Terrion Arnold stuff, the injuries with Branch, Kirby Joseph, right? I think they're going to have a hard time stopping teams all around. So they're going to have, and they have a potent offense. So I think they're going to be forced into, kind of dragged into a lot of shootouts this year based on their defense, essentially. And I think they're going to have to score a lot of points. So I do definitely think Waddle's fine, but a tiebreaker like that, let's go with the side of playoff schedule for Jameson Williams. Getting a little bit of discount on Devontae, but I don't really want to go down that road. Let's pull up Rome. Did I get him? Got him. Sweet. Let's pull up Rome, pair him up with Jameson Williams. I do want a small stack, single stack, single bring back sort of thing for week 17. I can do that and accomplish that with either Chicago or Detroit at this point. So that's fine. I don't really have to focus on anything else. Do I have to stack them? Not necessarily. I can figure something else out later, bring in some Tampa Bay, Atlanta, maybe something like that. But I have something kind of built in. Let's pull up the board. Pipple came out May 14th, finished by May 24th. Damn, 10 days. Mine wasn't long after. I thought it was going to fill quickly. So I think I filled it probably in May still as well. Yeah, I thought it was going to fill really quickly, and it's still open, which is wild to me. So yeah, it's crazy that that's still going. Pat Green's team had an early round George Kittle. How early was it? Like, again, was it like round 5 or something? Sherman's was round 5, maybe 6, 4 to 6. We'll call it for Sherman's team. And it was Kittle as well. So I would imagine it was similar, 4 to 6 for Kerrane, something like that. Is that elite tight end? I'm talking like first round Kelsey, second round Bowers, second round McBride, stuff like that. I feel like the longer you kind of wait on tight end, the better you're going to do. I think Loveland could be the exception to the rule this year. Maybe Warren could be the exception to the rule this year. We'll see. It's just like, and if I'm gonna sacrifice a roster spot for a tight end, it's probably going to be running back. So if it's like a 1-4-4-1, let's say it's a 1-3-4-1 sort of thing. We'll see. We'll see how it kind of shakes out. But there are a lot of like I'm drafting tight ends early. I do like I like Bowers, I like McBride, I like Loveland a lot. I like Tyler Warren a fair amount. And those are the 5 kind of elite guys. Sorry, 4 elite kind of options when it comes to tight end, in my opinion. Man, I do like Warren, but I'm definitely not taking 2 elite by week 13 tight ends. That makes less than no sense. Caleb goes, that's fine. Burrow's there. I might even just go Burrow and say, sorry, guys. Sorry about it. This guy's pissed. But I don't care. I'm not drafting Joe Burrow for the stack. I'm probably not going to stack Joe Burrow at all. I just want the points, and then I'm going to get Goff, hopefully. If I get sniped on Goff, that'll kind of hurt. That'll kind of stink, but it is what it is. In this tournament, I don't think you have to focus too much about it. I could bring in, this is a tournament where I would do it on, and I could bring in Mark Andrews, although he does have bye week 13 as well with Brock Bowers. I think that's still viable. I did it earlier today where I took 2 bye week 13 tight ends, one of them being Andrews, the other maybe Bowers. I can't remember if it was Warren or who it was. Knowing I'm going to take a 0 at tight end. I did not draft a 3rd tight end. I know I'm going to take a 0 at tight end in week 13, and that's fine. I think I can live with that. Definitely going to go running back. Let's take a little bit of Ramondre. I don't quite have enough. That might be a bad click. Jalen Warren is typically my click over Stevenson for sure. As far as rankings are concerned, I probably would have both Pollard and Warren over him, but I can get a little bit more. Disbanded's in the house, initiating the AI. Juwan Johnson must have the most win equity, finds his way on winning lineups often. Yeah, it's crazy how much he shows up wildly. He's been on like 3 BBM winning teams or something. It's crazy. It's crazy. For fifth round is the tight end green light historically. Yeah, I would be fine with fifth round tight ends. Like that's right where Warren's went right here, sixth round, but basically, oh no, that's sixth round. Never mind. I thought that was the turn there. So Warren's fine there. Loveland's in the fourth round. Warren's in the sixth round. So there is no fifth round tight end, but I think those are the same bet. And I think that's fine. I like Warren and Loveland kind of the most. I'll have more exposure to Loveland and Warren than I will McBride and Bowers. So I can get down with that. I'm gonna have to go through those spreadsheets and figure it out. I think first and second round tight end maybe not great, but at the same time, like they have such good playoff schedules. All 3 playoff games for Brock Bowers are in a dome, and I believe it's the same for McBride. Yeah, all 3 games for McBride and Bowers are all in a dome in the playoffs. That's not nothing. That's not nothing. So I'm going to have to dig into those sheets. We're definitely going to come back around to that and see where we can make it make some sense. I still am going to do it. I'm not going to be that rigid where I'm not drafting tight end. There's definitely what was the structure that we saw there? I'll have to go back through it, but there was 1-4-4-1 or something like that. Yeah, 1-4-4-1 through 10 rounds, I think can work. So we'll dig a little more into that. And we'll talk about that again at some point. Harvey can be fun. Little discount on Harvey. Puka Jamo Adunze. I kind of want to click Worthy here, but we're going to go with RJ Harvey. Let's do that. I think Harvey's being disrespected right now, to be honest with you. Yeah, he's got a little shoulder thing. He's not a smash his face into the defensive line kind of running back anyways, but 12 touchdowns. I was saying this in pre-draft big board stuff. 12 touchdowns through, last season as a rookie is pretty sweet. So full goal at minicamp feels good. I think he's kind of being disrespected right now. We loved him last year, but we hate him this year when the situation's exactly the same. I don't really understand that. I don't understand that. I am going to do it right now and just take, and I'm not going to take off. I should not have taken Burrow. That's really stupid. Fuck. I needed Caleb. Same bye week. I feel stupid now. We're going to take Worthy because I was going to take him with my last pick. That's annoying. You should probably use your brain a little bit better, Cody, than that one. That was pretty stupid. That's frustrating. That's on me. That one is on me. Same bye week as Goff, and I should have known that off the top of my head. That's really annoying. And I'm not taking Goff and Burrow and then taking a third quarterback. I'm just not doing it. So we're going to have to get creative here. We're going to have to get a little creative. God, how am I slipping in my old age? Knicks would have been sweet. That would have made some sense. What a total loser. That's annoying. Someone had to die on the field for that to work. Yeah, literally. Literally, that's why, I'm not trying to say talk negative about Pat Green or anything like that, but that is the only reason he won Best Ball Mania is someone died on the field. So, yeah, I'm a Jonah Coleman buyer and the RJ Harvey fader. Sean Payton loves boring and predictable. That's exactly what Coleman and Pat Bryant are. I don't disagree. I actually kind of like Jonah Coleman as well. I'm drafting him a little bit. I'm drafting both Harvey and Coleman. I'm never drafting J.K. Dobbins. I'm sure he wants to stay healthy. That's a real feel-good story. It's easier said than done when we're talking about J.K. Dobbins. So there you go. I'm not drafting J.K. Dobbins. I am drafting Harvey and I am drafting Jonah Coleman. Only when he slips a little bit, though. I'm definitely not pulling Jonah Coleman up the board, but he falls quite a bit. And if there is an injury to J.K. Dobbins, guess who's going to be the beneficiary of that? It's Jonah Coleman, not necessarily R.J. Harvey. I think R.J. Harvey's going to have a similar amount of value regardless. So we can go 1-4-4-1 through 10 rounds. Speaking of, let's go back to ADP. We're definitely going Baker, though. We're going to pair up Baker with the Nakua thing and kind of bail ourselves out there that way. And they play New Orleans week 15. That's cool. We're not getting an Atlanta piece, most likely. Yeah, no, we're not. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to bail ourselves out. Could bring in Andrews, but then week 13, that actually is fine. I could do that as well. And then there's still Yoshi Voss at the end of the draft. We can do that. I do like Yoshi Voss. I'm fine with that. I'm stopping at these two quarterbacks. That's for sure. Jordan Mason's a fine click here. I think Chris Rodriguez is a fine click. Coker's a good click. So we've definitely got a few options. Coker goes. Mason goes. That's annoying. Kind of wanted Mason there. I might just do the Andrews thing. Worst case scenario, I've got a quarterback that can run a little bit with a tight end and with a wide receiver. So let's do that. We're stopping at 2. Stopping at 2 tight ends. I think you can get away with that when we're talking about Brock Bowers and Mark Andrews. I think you can get away with taking a 0 at tight end in week 13. So that's what we're going to do. It's definitely a little bit unique too, because not very many people are doing that. Stephen Hines in the house. What's up, man? Appreciate you. Appreciate that. I would have 0 issues with 2 week 13 buys if they're the Bowers and Andrews, if they are Bowers and Andrews. Yeah, I agree. I think it can get unique, and I should be way ahead of the field at tight end anyways. So I think you can afford a 0, right? So I've been doing that a little bit because there's like 3 or 4 quality tight ends that are by week 13. Who is it? Bowers. I know Warren is. Bowers, Warren, and then Mark Andrews. Is there any more that we like? Not really. Sadiq, but no. That's about it. So yeah, Bowers or Warren with Mark Andrews, I think you can pull it off. I really do. And I've done it a couple times. This is not the first time I've done this. Maybe it won't be the last. I don't know. I didn't do it in BBM, so I'll probably put one of those in BBM as well. 1 year in best ball, my highest scoring team was a 2 tight end team with same bye week. There you go. There you go. So it can work. We're done at tight end and quarterback. I'll tell you that for free. Could do Jalen McMillan. That obviously makes a lot of sense. Keaton Mitchell would have been fine. Click. So I think I'm in good shape at running back realistically. We are going to go Jalen McMillan. Let's do that. Then we have a little week 17 game stack with Puka, McMillan, Baker. This is a really terrible running back range. After Keaton Mitchell, it's pretty bad. I do like Algier a lot, 35% in the Poodle. He's just a fine click right there. He's a fine click. But I think I'm going to have to go another wide receiver here. because I just don't like these running backs enough. I'm not taking Coleman here, especially with Harvey. I'm not taking Charbonnet this high. I will click him if he falls. Algiers fine. I just don't want to go down that road. It's kind of always Jalen Naylor. This is going to put me at about 50% Jalen Naylor for the Poodle. But I just think he's an absolute smash at this point in the draft. I'm going to be a massive Jalen Naylor bull this year. Very, very high on Jalen Naylor. Very high. Someone asked me in the episode the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago on Wednesday, players that I wasn't as high on that I'm now drafting a ton of. Jalen Naylor is one of those guys. I was drafting him a little bit in the big board season, but now since the draft, with the contract, where they're at, no free agents, everything like that, give me Jalen Naylor. He was brought in very intentionally by this coaching staff, especially Clint Kubiak, and he fits the mold of the wide receivers that have excelled and done well with Clint Kubiak as the play caller. So give me Jalen Naylor. Team Trey Tucker. I think Trey Tucker's fine. I draft him as well, but if I'm having to pick between one or the other, it's Jalen Naylor every time. But I will take Trey Tucker. I think he's fine. I don't think you have to pick one or the other. I think you can draft both, perfectly fine. You can draft them on the same team. They're both priced well, so you could definitely do that. But if I'm picking one or the other, it's definitely Naylor over Tucker. But I think he's fine to draft as well. Just going to ask you that question. Who do you prefer, the wide receiver 2 in a bad offense or the wide receiver 3 in a good offense? No wrong answer. Just prefer the good offense, wide receiver 3 shot. I don't hate that sentiment. It depends on how much how much 11 personnel I think they're going to be playing. How often is that third wide receiver on the field? Which 2 teams are we talking here? I would need a little more context than just wide receiver 2 bad offense, wide receiver 3 good offense, right? Even the San Francisco 49ers is fantastic offense, but they hardly have 3 wide receivers on the field. So do I want to invest in that? Not particularly. Algier would have been the click there. He goes. That's okay. Not the end of the world. Oh, I just am never clicking Tajay, but let's get a share. I'm really worried about Tajay Spears this year, so I'm not really drafting him at all. That might have been my first share of Tajay Spears post NFL draft. I think Nick Singleton just kind of kills him a little bit, but I should have some. I think you should have some, right? What are we going to do? My ranks love Jeremy Bernard. My projections love Jeremy Bernard. Is that where I want to go? Yeah, maybe. It's a hard maybe. $2,682 is probably the direction that we're going. Let's bring in Jeremy. My guy. I've got Tajay with Tennessee, got Baltimore, a couple playoff matchup stacks. I think it makes sense. Jeremy Bernard's always a good click. Let's do that. 2 more running backs, 1 more wide receiver to finish this team out. So yeah, that's what I would ask is who are the teams that we're talking about here? Because yeah, that wide receiver 3 could just be injury up. That's like Dejon Stribling. Dejon Stribling has 0 value to me, honestly. So, like, I'm not drafting any Stribling, 0. He's fully contingent on an injury for him to get on the field. Because Christian Kirk's going to be getting on the field a hell of a lot more than Stribling, right? So, yeah, fantastic offense. Wide receiver 3, I'm drafting 0. But, wide receiver 2 in a bad offense. So let's say Denzel Boston. I'm definitely drafting more Denzel Boston than I am Stribling. Tell you that much. So do you consider strength of schedule ever? I mean, I do, I do. So looking at teams like the Bengals, teams like the Saints, who else? Teams like the Detroit Lions. They finished last. They're playing a last place schedule. It's definitely softer, obviously. So you definitely should. But again, I think that's more of an advance rate conversation if you want to get into the weeds on advance rate. But I'm not particularly concerned with advance rate. I want to, my focus has just completely become pick the best player available at the time, while also sticking to a good roster construction. And then, also taking into consideration your playoff matchups a little bit. You want to play off of that a little bit. I feel like, it's a DFS mentality when we get to the playoffs. Weeks 15, 16, 17, you should be looking at like a DFS mentality, right? Where I need a quarterback stacked with at least one running back. Usually for me, it's just one running back. I'm going to take Kamara. I was hoping he would fall. I have 50% Kamara in the Poodle, just in the Poodle. There's only, 8 or what did I do? 15 so far. But we're going to take him. I think at this price, it makes a lot of sense. In a room like this, I have the New Orleans running back, which is fine to team stack when you're taking 6. If I'm taking 6 running backs, I don't mind taking stacking a team. I think that's fine. I don't want to do it with Denver. I don't want to do it with Tennessee. I would do it with New England, but that's a higher price tag. I think the Saints are fine given getting ETN, and then the price tag on Kamara is dirt cheap. So I think that's fine. So I won't be taking Nick Singleton. I'll tell you that much. That's for damn sure. It's going to be one of these 3. Definitely going to go running back here. Finish out my running back room. Braylon goes, and I'm going to take Katron over Ray Davis. I'm going to gamble a little bit. I like my top 3. I have a handcuff with my number 1 running back. So I'm going to gamble a little bit on Katron. More of a gamble than Ray Davis, but a similar gamble nonetheless. And I really like the Washington. Washington's another one. Strength of schedule conversation. Washington's another one. But also their playoff schedule is fantastic for Washington. I think so. So, yeah, I'd take it into consideration. But again, I think it's more of an advance rates conversation than it is like a win equity conversation. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, that's just my opinion on it. You may disagree. There goes Khalif Raymond. My guy is Xavier Thomas. That's who I think is going to play more. I think like Raymond was brought in for a reason. Yeah, he'll play some at the start of the year. I think he was brought in to kind of mentor a guy like Xavier Thomas. He's really done well in the preseason, sounds like, as far as camps, OTAs and stuff like that. Nothing but positive around Xavier Thomas so far. And that's the guy that I think ultimately takes that slot role in a Ben Johnson offense, which isn't a high 11 personnel team anyways. So I'm not drafting Xavier Thomas, but I'm not drafting Khalif Raymond either. My ranks like Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Noel, Yoshi Voss. I probably will take Yoshi Voss. It just makes the most sense, right? I haven't picked him in the Poodle yet at all, actually, which is odd because I do like Yoshi Voss. I think he's a great click in the 18th round. If not, I'll take Noel if he's still there. If someone takes Yoshi Voss on me. I like Malachi Fields a lot in the 18th round. Surratt's fine. Tolbert, I don't click a lot, but I've been thinking about adding him in the 18th round a little bit. Theoretically, he's the wide receiver 1 in Miami, at least to start. He's kind of in the pole position. But we'll take Andre Yoshi Voss. Makes sense. So we do have a single stack Yoshi Voss with Andrews in week 17, as well as McMillan and Mayfield with Puka for week 17. And realistically, in this tournament with this structure, that's all you really need to focus on is week 17. Get yourself a stack or 2 in week 17, and then just try to get there because the advance rate is pretty juicy. 1 to 6, 1 to 5. You don't necessarily have to have you don't at all have to have a perfect week in order to advance. Any Adam Randall, not for me. I just don't think he has any way to get on the field unless there's a disaster injury to literally Derrick Henry, because Justice Hill is going to be the number 2 there. Rasheen Ali, we know they like a little bit. He's going to be ahead of Adam Randall, I think. I think Adam Randall's a project. I think he's a lottery ticket. That's what I said in pre-draft. He is he is a lot like Derrick Henry build-wise. He's very, very, and I think that's why they drafted him, to say, hey, Adam Randall, just go follow that guy around all day, every day, do what he does, say what he says, do everything that Derrick Henry does, and maybe we'll hit the lottery and you can be half of what Derrick Henry is. So I'm not drafting him at all, no. But I think it was a great pick, like real life football draft pick, and I just don't think he makes it on the field at all. I like Colby Young. He's a piece of shit of a human being. I didn't know that. I did draft one or two maybe in the big board season of Colby Young. Bengals are pretty notorious for drafting piece of shit human beings, Joe Mixon. But second chances, I guess. Okay. I'm not, I can't say I'm like rooting for Colby Young or anything like that. I want him to play good football on the football field. Supposedly he's done well in OTAs and he's had a good spring, but he's behind Yoshi Voss. He's obviously behind T. Higgins. We don't even need to talk about him and Jamar Chase in the same, breath. So, I wouldn't call myself a truther of Colby Young. I drafted him on a dynasty team. I'll tell you that much, but definitely wouldn't call myself a truther. And again, he's a bit of a piece of shit human being, so I can't say I'm rooting for him. 2682 is the build. Very common build for me in the hot best ball summer draft cycle. We got Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield. I think it's fine to stop at 2. I like that when you're sinking the capital in Joe Burrow. And I think Baker Mayfield is perfectly fine. Both, like Baker Mayfield, you literally have to drag off the football field. And Joe Burrow gets, his injuries are large. So hopefully he can stay healthy this year. There's no playing through the stuff that, injuries that he has. Baker Mayfield, you literally have to take the guy off the field in a stretcher to get him to not play. Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, RJ Harvey, Tajay Spears, Alvin Kamara, Katron Allen. A little thin at the back end for sure, but I'm okay with my top 3. A little bit, hero RB-esque type of thing with Etienne, but I think it can work ultimately. As long as I get the points out of Kamara or the Saints running back points kind of a thing. I'm a little worried about Spears, but I think Harvey will be fine. I like Ramondre. I think that could work out. We'll see. It's a little thin, I won't lie. Nakua, Jameson Williams, Odunze, Worthy, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Naylor, Jeremy Bernard, Andre Yosivash. I like that texture. That's the kind of a wide receiver room I'm building quite frequently. I like that. Some big hitters in there. Touchdown guys. High volume. I like that. Brock Bowers, Mark Andrews. Quality team. I think it's good enough to make some noise potentially, but we'll see how she does. I'm probably going to draft another Poodle unless anyone objects to it. So in the chat, we could draft any one of the Poodle, the Frenchie, or a Best Ball Mania. What do we think we want to do? Tremaine Burton is officially DOA. He's done. Pac-Man Jones, Matt Jones. Oh, we're talking about, guys with issues? Yeah, there you go. There's lots in the Bengals world. Definitely won't be a Mastiff. I appreciate, you thinking I have the kind of bankroll to just live stream a Mastiff and the poll to be able to fill one just at 9:30 Mountain Time. So not going to happen. Poodle, we got a Frenchie, we got a Poodle. I'm in the camp where naked QB is acceptable. Thoughts? I think it's fine. I think it's fine as long as you have a bring back. I do think you have to have a bring back. You don't necessarily have to have a pass catcher, depending on the quarterback. I did it the other day, the other draft that we did, the other day on Wednesday. I did it with Caleb Williams, right? I did it naked with Caleb Williams and I think Amon-Ra, wasn't it? Or Gibbs? I can't remember who it was, but Yeah, I think it's perfectly defensible as long as you have some rushing upside in the quarterback. If it's Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I think it's perfectly defensible, especially a guy like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Actually, I'd throw them both in the same bucket. I think it's perfectly fine and defensible. You can do Josh Allen and Devon Achane on a team, and I think you're doing fine. I think that's a perfectly defensible way to draft the Buffalo Miami game stack there. So it depends, and I do think it's fine. I just think you have to have a bring back on the other side for week 17, and then it depends on the quarterback. You have to have some rushing upside, 100%. So what else we got? We got any other votes? Any other votes? Poodle, Frenchie, BBM. We got one for Poodle, one for Frenchie. One more vote wins it. Poodle or Frenchie? Alan Lamar throwing running backs. There you go. Perfectly acceptable naked. Absolutely. Again, I think you need a bring back. So you could, if you do like Jamar Chase and Lamar, I think that's perfectly fine. T. Higgins and Lamar, perfectly fine. Right? Stuff like that, I think makes a lot of sense. We got number 2 for Frenchie. Wow, we're doing Frenchie. Let's do it. Let's do the Frenchie. That's a fun structure. Let's jump into it. It's only 20-second clock, so let's get into it. If you guys want in, waiting on 7. If you guys want to do your single entry Frenchie, let's get in here. If it takes too long to fill, I will back out and get into a Poodle. We'll see. Yeah, I know it's a single entry. Finishing fast, I do got to get my entry in, but I also have to get my Poodle entries in. So we got King QC and Slim talking about a Poodle. You guys came in a little late. Putt Daddy, I said second vote wins it. We got in here for the Frenchie. Buffalo Miami week 17 is a trap game. Kind of is because, yeah. I mean, Josh Allen will almost certainly be playing, but that game might be over by halftime. And, James Cook might be the winner there. Hard to say. But you never know with Devon Achane. Maybe he's not playing. I don't think he wouldn't be playing because they're like trying to keep him healthy for next year, like a lot of people think and say. I don't think that's the way to look at that game. But it could end up just being a trap game. Is it? Let me see. Is it in Buffalo? It's at Miami. I think you should be fine. I'm going to draft it a little bit. Where there won't be a Josh Allen Superman performance. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like James Cook could be the guy in that game. James Cook could be the guy. Ray Davis could be the guy. We even saw a game where Ty Johnson, I think, had 2 touchdowns, didn't we, towards the end of last year? So you never know. I wouldn't say I'm like focused on the Buffalo Miami game. I'll tell you that much. That's for damn sure. I got the 5 spot in my lone Frenchie. Dynasty's in the house. What's up, man? I think you got into this draft. You did. I'm particularly interested because I think your draft study fits the tournament structure well. Perfect. Let's see. We will see. I would have really liked to be a top 3 pick. I would have really liked Jamar Chase in this, but I really don't like the 5 at all. So who do we got in this one? We've got Dynasty, UFC Jaguar, been lurking. You've been lurking in the chat. Make yourself known. Just sandwiched between 2 guys in the chat. That's good. That's fun. I'm gonna have to watch my P's and Q's. Watch what I say. I haven't even asked yet, but hit the like button, guys, if you don't mind. Right, we got 30 people watching here. I don't know how many likes we got, but hopefully it's a chunk. Hit the like button if you don't mind, if you like the content. And if you're new to the channel, hopefully hit the subscribe button already. You're in the chat, and we can have some fun drafting. We're back at it. We're grinding. It should be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, most weeks, with a little bit of mix up there at times. I play hockey on some Wednesdays, so we might have to move it around. I guess I just take JSN. Oops, I don't want to go there. Like the playoff schedules, I'm going to take a Monraw. I just would rather the high floor. Yeah, like that's concerning. like Amon-Ra, I think that these are some juicy matchups. Minnesota in a dome, Giants in a dome, and then Chicago outside. That's a tough one. I get it. But as long as it isn't super windy, that's a fun game. I think both defenses are terrible. And then if we're looking at Smith and Jigba at Philly, that's a tough game versus the Rams at home in Seattle. Could be super rainy, and the Rams are definitely the best defense in the NFL, probably the best team in the NFL. And then they go hard west to hard east, Seattle to Carolina on the road, week 17. That's a tough travel day kind of thing. So let's just go with the better playoff schedule. And again, like I said in that first draft, when we took Jameson Williams, I think that the Lions are going to be dragged into a lot of high scoring shootout type of games. So if we're talking about floor, I think the floor is higher for Amon-Ra than Jackson Smith and Jigba. That might be a hot take, but I don't think it is. The floor should be higher, I think, for Amon-Ra. And then the ceiling is very similar, I think. So yeah, I think that'll work out. I'm going to go that route. On a single entry, gun to my head, obviously, give me Amon-Ra over JSN. And he ends up going 7, so not that crazy. McCaffrey might have been the click there too, actually. That might have been the better click, but I like Amon-Ra here. I'm not drafting running backs early, so again, I'm sticking to my strategy. Let's go with Amon-Ra. Bazinga is in here. Is he in here? +1. Are you in the draft? UCF, there you are, lurking. Start talking about how much you love Scatabo now so he gets sniped from you. Speak it out of existence. Yeah, Scatabo is a great click. Anyone should click him. Second round, probably. Third round. Can't let him get past the 4th, that's for sure. My first time watching. Let's see if you cook. Appreciate that, man. No pressure. I'm feeling the pressure, dog. I'm feeling it. That's my like in the chat. Appreciate you. Appreciate you hitting that like button. Oh, we're on the clock. Shit, that's good. On the clock here. Brock Bowers? Brock Bowers, I think, makes a lot of sense here. Single entry team, juicy playoff schedule, high scoring, probably tight end 1. Let's do Brock Bowers. It's either Brock Bowers or George Pickens, but in a vacuum, give me Brock Bowers over Pickens. 2 drafts in a row with Brock Bowers. Take you like most, throw ADP out the window, single entry. Exactly. It's like the single entries are the gun to your head kind of conversations. Who do you really like? Who do you really want? That's the conversation when it's a single entry. So I love these single entries. Even I wish it was like a $50, so it's a little more riding on it. Like a single entry $100, something like that. That's when you find out who people really like, right? And you always see guys fall that like traditionally no one likes. You know what I mean? What's the first round of 4 of 12? Interesting. 4 of 12. I don't mind Breece Hall. In this. I don't mind Breece Hall. Is that the route I want to go? I don't think so. I'm going to take Josh Allen. Could super very well have the tight end 1 and the quarterback 1. Top 3 wide receiver. I'm not going to say that Amon-Ra has wide receiver 1 upside because he really doesn't. If we're being honest. But he has top 3 for sure. Top 5, no question. And it's just like what's the difference between Breece Hall and like David Montgomery potentially? I mean, the upside's definitely there for Breece Hall. But what's the difference between Breece Hall and, say, Josh Jacobs? Not a crazy amount. This way, I'm locked in on one tight end, two tight ends, two quarterbacks, locked in. A few more years down the road, and the Bears will be playing that Week 17 game in a dome. Yeah, in Indianapolis too, to boot. Technically, it's like a half hour from Chicago, but technically, it's Indianapolis. Did a Burrow double stack T chase in my single entry. Don't hate it. You don't even need the bring back. You don't in this final 117 team final. You don't need the Baltimore bring back at all. Though it is nice to take Andrews as late as he goes. Feels good, so you could definitely do that. But I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that. Went 2-6-8-2 in my Frenchie 7. Really liked how the team turned out. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like this. I may not take another quarterback inside 10 rounds. That I think it's defensible when you have Josh Allen. I could fully bring in a guy like Cam Ward and feel okay about it, something like that. We'll see what we end up doing, but I don't think it's necessary to take one in the 10 rounds. If it's outside of the 6 through 10, like we talked about earlier, then, like again, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I think it's defensible to take a quarterback outside of that range. Not an ADP slave. Respect. I would have gone Neighbors, but I will let you cook. I don't know about Neighbors in this structure. In a 4-12, it does make more sense, I guess, to take a guy like Neighbors in a 4-12 advance rate. Yeah, I don't hate that. But I'm going to go Terry. No question. That's a smash click in the 4th round. No one wants Cam Scatterbo. I couldn't talk anybody into Cam Scatterbo. Scatterbo. Definitely Terry McLaurin. Still the best 4th round pick on the board. 100%. Regular season matters even less. 100%. I agree with that. You have elite tight end, elite quarterbacks, so maybe your wide receiver would be too weak if he starts slow. That's kind of the concern, but I do have St. Brown, so I think it's perfectly fine to take Neighbors, in the 3rd round. I could have taken him there, though he is falling. He's obviously not going to fall to me at 44, but he has been falling into the 4th round, though I think I got Neighbors at 45 the other day. So you never know, but I doubt he goes that late in a 4 of 12 advanced structure, right? So I do agree with that, with the statement here. Regular season matters even less. That is very true. But I like literally with my top 4 here, I feel pretty good at advancing already. I really do. I feel really good at advancing. I'm just ahead of the game at tight end and quarterback, and I think I'm ahead of the game a lot of these rooms in the wide receiver spot. I think. I'm sure you could disagree with me on that, but yeah, I'll take Devontae. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't care about stacking. I don't need DJ Moore at all. I think the best click right here is still Devontae. I think that makes some sense. And then if we're looking at so my wide receiver room, Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams versus Puka, AJ Brown, Olave. I'll take my room personally. Chase, Nico, JMO. I'll take my room. Devontae, Rice, Waddle. I'll take my room. This is a really strong one, I think. JSN, London, and McMillan. That's a strong room. I would take that room over mine. T, Burden, Watson, I'll take mine. I'll take mine over this. I'll take mine over this, no matter who he picks here. Obviously over that. So really, I feel like I'm in like second. You could say third place. This is pretty quality. You could say I'm in 3rd place in my wide receiver room, but I think I'm in 2nd. So yeah, I'm ahead of the game in 3 of 4 position groups. And I just have to hit a little bit at running back and I'll be fine, which I think you can definitely do. 45 was insane. It was an insta click. 18th round, Keon Coleman, welcome to the squad. Maybe it could make some sense, but I really don't give a shit about stacking, especially in this tournament. I don't care about stacking Josh Allen at all. So I think there's honestly better clicks in the 18th round than Keon Coleman. So we'll see. A lot of work to do, but I like the start. Appreciate that. Shape him up to be a 2.772, but it's coming together well so far. I do agree with that so far. Could still be a 2.68, but 2.77 works as well. It'll be one of those two, obviously. Etienne Irvin or Alan Bowers. I'll take the Alan Bowers. Agree with that. I agree with that. Are you still in Alberta? I live in Edmonton, trying to max BBM before the July 13th deadline for all operators to cease operation in Alberta, just like they did in Ontario. That's not necessarily true, and I am in Alberta. We'll see. There's been no word. So in case nobody knows, we're going to make this pick, and we'll get into it. It's a sad day, which is, I never thought I would see the day that something like this would happen in Alberta, but here we are. So it's one of these two running wide receivers for sure, Marvin or Parker Washington. Parker Washington goes. So we'll take Marvin Harrison here. We're definitely not taking a quarterback. I don't really feel the need to pull anybody up the board. I have another pick in a few here, so I can take a running back there. Let's take Marvin Harrison. DFS is dead. Dailies are dead in Alberta, which is awful. So no more DraftKings. So that's real sucky for me personally. I play every week in the football season. It could still change by the time football season comes around. We'll see, but not particularly likely. So that's frustrating. It is possible that Underdog and Best Ball, so DraftKings Best Ball is dead in Alberta as well on July 13th. Actually, I think it's July 9th. July 13th is when it opens up, and the deadline is July 9th, as far as I know, as far as DraftKings in Alberta. So DraftKings Best Ball, totally dead in Alberta. Really frustrating, but I don't play DraftKings Best Ball, so I'm not exactly upset yet until the NFL season gets here and I can't play DFS. I'll be really, really, really frustrated if that's the case this fall. We'll see. If Underdog pulls out of Alberta, that's going to be a real kick in my nuts. Obviously, my streaming will be pretty much dead. I won't be able to stream Best Ball anymore. And then we'll see. It's not set in stone, that's for sure. There's been no word of that happening, but let's make this pick. We're just going to do Tony Pollard. I think he's the best click on the board here. My ranks say that. My projections say that. I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's go. Yeah, that's really going to hurt. Because they could just announce it tomorrow. Underdog could just say, we're pulling out of Alberta tomorrow. That's literally how quickly that could happen. And that would really suck. That would really hurt my feelings. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's nothing set in stone for Underdog yet. There's been no announcement from Underdog yet. Yeah, it'll be a really, really frustrating time if that happens, but we'll see. If you keep pushing RB and get a couple elite wide receivers, you can stop at 5 or 6. Yeah, I don't like to do that. Minimum I like to stop at for wide receivers is 7. It'd have to be super, super elite wide receivers to stop at 6, and taking Bowers and Allen, I think, has kind of, stopped that. So we'll see. But I don't think I'll stop at 5 or 6. Definitely sucks. Definitely a huge piss off. Alberta gave us Chuba Hubbard, but took away DraftKings. It's a mixed bag. Yeah, I feel you. We're not, you never know. It's already at the Supreme Court of Canada, literally, that for this one. Ontario hasn't had it since 2022, and they've been fighting for it since then. And they're the ones that basically have taken to the Supreme Court. So fingers crossed that things change, but as long as Underdog doesn't pull out, I'll be fine at least until September, and then DFS season. Yeah, I'm literally walking on pins and needles over here, just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. We'll see if it happens. I don't know. No one seems to know. But again, Underdog could announce it tomorrow, and then I'm fucked. So we'll see what happens. Do you live near a province border? I'm about 2.5 hours away from super, super small town, British Columbia. So if it does happen in July that we just end best ball, obviously my streaming will be dead. I can maybe make appearances on other people's channels, sort of thing, that I can't draft. And then I will be driving 2.5 hours to British Columbia and entering a bunch of slows and then coming home and drafting. Yeah, it'd be awful. And maybe we could still talk through some things, but like, yeah, we'll see. I haven't brought it up because I'm just like living in denial that it's going to happen, kind of a thing. And again, there's been no conversation of it yet that I know of. I don't know, man. We'll see. It's not great. It's not great. It's not fun. I'm really, really unhappy about it. We're going to do Kyle Monungai here. He's someone that I think has a lot of value around here. We're going to do Monungai. Pairs up with the Monroe too, week 17. That's cool. Not that I really care about that in this tournament. I don't at all, but I got Marvin Harrison and Brock Bowers week 17. So a little bit of mini stacks. That's fun. That's fun. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, never thought I'd see the day that something like that would happen in Alberta, but here we are. There are 2 running backs to 4 straight wide receivers. King Henry is one. Guess who the other is? That would be Anthony Pollard. Is who that would be. Not a big touchdown guy, unfortunately, but maybe that changes with a little bit of focus on the offensive line with Tennessee, and then play calling, day ball, better defense. Hopefully that changes as far as touchdown upside for Tony Pollard. He's in the last year of his contract too, so he's playing for a job this year. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that Tony has a good year. So that's why my projections really like Tony Pollard. He should be in line for a good season. It's obviously going to be either Ricky or Pittman. Or is it? Let's go Kenny Gainwell. I like Kenny G a lot. Pairs up with Devontae. That's cool. I'm not intentionally trying to game stack week 17 here, but it's kind of working out. Considering I'm not going to stack Josh Allen at all with Miami, unless you're getting Achane, it doesn't make sense. Like literally, I'm not drafting a single Miami Dolphin. Dulcich, maybe I'll do Dulcich. That could make some sense. But I like Kenny G a fair amount right now. So let's do that. I think it makes sense to catch up at running back there as well. 3 straight RBs, Pollard, Monungai, Gainwell. I think that's a really nice 0 RB type of running back texture. I think that makes some sense. Okay, I agree. I like when I can stop at 5 or 6. Fair enough. Easy game. That's actually why I like Nick Singleton. Both Tajay and Pollard in the last year of their deal. If the team is nothing to play for, they have all the incentive to play Singleton. Yeah. I just think like teams want to win too. Like I think Tajay, I think realistically the upside for Nick Singleton is Tajay's injury concerns constantly. He literally does not have an ACL. Literally in one of his knees does not have an ACL. So that's the big concern. He's been hurt throughout his career, right? I think the upside for Singleton is Tajay. I think Pollard's going to be their guy. Like we already heard Bob Saleh speak well about Tony Pollard because he went in and lit up the 49ers last year, Tony Pollard. And he's had a quality career. Like Bazinga there just said, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, only 2 running backs, and he's one of them. So, yeah, I like Tony Pollard. I like Singleton as well. I've had a hard time clicking Tajay, that's for sure. I've been clicking Pollard, I've been clicking Singleton, but I have a hard time clicking Tajay. So I think that's the upside case for Nick Singleton. Personally, that's my opinion on it. I would also list Pollard as a midseason trade candidate, possibly, but he's just by far the best ball carrier, the best runner of the football on that team with Singleton, with Tajay Spears. He's by far the best runner of the football on that team. So if they trade him, who you giving the ball to on first down? It would have been Brooks there. We do have Pollard. I really, really, really like Wandale. I really like Wandale a lot. Let's take Wandale. I really like him. It's hard not to click him. One 1-3-5-3 or 1-3-5-1, the number one advance rate team. I like the Tennessee playoff schedule as well. I think Indianapolis defense is going to be super, super gettable. Vegas, obviously. Plus, they play Bowers, week 16. That's cool. Pittsburgh, week 17 at home. That's a tough matchup kind of thing, but that's all right. I think we can make it work. If Pollard got traded, that would probably be great for him. Titans suck. I think the Titans are going to be a little bit better. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. I really do. I'm not a massive like Titans fan or anything, but I think they're going to surprise some teams this year. I'm going to pull up Cam Ward. Kind of talked about it earlier. I'm not gonna like just hope he's there for me right at ADP. I have 2 Tennessee Titans. I have a Raider for week 17. I'm done at 2 quarterbacks. I just think it makes a lot of sense to pull up Cam Ward here. He had a, I think, super underrated rookie season. 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns in this offense. Like we see it on screen here. Titans suck. I don't think they do as much, but I also think Cam Ward's going to take a nice step forward. This team really was not good last year. They had 0 weapons, on the offensive side of the ball. Like Chig was arguably your number 1 pass catcher, your number 1 weapon. He's now gone, but Gunnar Helm is fine. Wandale comes in. Carnell Tate comes in. You add another pass catching running back in Singleton. So I like Cam Ward to take a nice step forward here in his second season. 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's a very, very, very quality rookie season, especially on what was a really bad team that had 0 weapons for the guy. I kind of really like Cam Ward just as a person and a player. I really like him. So we'll see. Don't disagree that he's the best RB on the Titans, but Sauce Gardner was the best cornerback and Quinn Williams the best defensive tackle on the Jets. Bad teams trade good players. Yeah, but I don't think he is a trade candidate at all. Reason being, this is the last year of his contract. What are you going to get for him? A bag of footballs? You're not going to get anything for the guy. No one's going to give up anything to trade for Tony Pollard, 30-year-old Tony Pollard, on the last year of his contract at the trade deadline, half a season. No one's giving up much of anything for a guy like Tony Pollard. I don't think. Maybe the Titans are happy to take a 7th round in a bag of footballs. I don't know, but I doubt it. And I doubt they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to get rid of the best running back on our team by quite a margin for nothing to help another team go to the Super Bowl kind of a thing. I just don't particularly see him being a trade candidate at all. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I just would be pretty shocked if anybody gave them anything of value in a trade, in a package. Wow. Let's just pull up Chig a little bit here. Could do Dulcich, a way to do that, but I like Chig a lot. Oh, no, I don't really want to do that. Let's do Goddard, I guess. I don't like this range of anything. I would take McMillan, but I have Gainwell, and I don't want to just necessarily double stack Tampa Bay, though I think that's fine. Washington as well, McLaurin and Chig, though I think that's also fine, I guess. Let's take a little bit of discount on Dallas Goddard with Bowers. I think that's fine. San Francisco, Houston, Seattle. We're good there. We're done at tight end and quarterback. So that's fine. I don't really want Naylor or Tucker with Bowers either. So it's kind of just a weird spot of like, who do I draft here, to be honest with you? Like, who do I even take right now? Jawan Jennings, no. Rashid Shaheed, maybe that should have been the click. Rashid Shaheed. Yeah. Yeah. Rashid Shaheed maybe is the click there. I don't want Algier with Harrison necessarily. Shaheed goes. That's unfortunate. We're gonna take Denzel Boston. I like Denzel Boston personally. I think he's going to force his way on the field. Basically, the lowest 11 personnel in the league is my thoughts for Cleveland. And he's got to beat out essentially Jerry Jeudy, maybe not Casey Concepcion. I've had a harder time taking Casey Concepcion at this point, just because I think he plays more in the slot. I do think he can play outside, though, as well. He did play a lot outside at A&M, so he's going to be a return guy as well. So I don't think he's necessarily like a full-time play every snap on offense kind of player, Concepcion. I like Boston a fair amount. I think by the end of the season, he's going to force his way on the field, and Judy's going to fall by the wayside. I think by the end of the season, it's going to be Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. That's why they drafted those two guys. So I think it makes the most sense. I really don't like the Goddard pick here. I'm really unimpressed with that. I don't like Goddard, but I didn't want to take those other tight ends. Maybe I should have just pulled up Strange or something. Pair him up with McLaurin week 17. Sure. I arguably like Strange better than Goddard, but who knows? We could see Goddard have like a career season this year, realistically. I haven't really talked about it much on stream, but I actually see the way I see the Eagles offense. I think Eli Stowers is going to play outside wide receiver for them. I think he's going to be their X. Literally, they're just their X wide receiver. Eli Stowers. That's how I see the Eagles offense. I think he's going to play a lot of the similar type of routes and type of stuff that we saw AJ Brown do last year. That's the way I see it. And I think Goddard's still going to play the same position he has all his whole career with the Eagles. He's going to do the same thing, good old classic Dallas Goddard sort of thing. Eli Stowers isn't necessarily going to outproduce Dallas Goddard, but I think that's where they're going to use Stowers, is on the outside as their X wide receiver. That's my opinion on the Eagles. And I think Devonta Smith is going to do a lot of the similar things that he's done his whole career as well. He's obviously a full-time receiver, full-time player, and I don't think Stowers is a full-time, play every snap outside wide receiver. But I think when he's on the field, that's where he's going to be playing a fair amount. That's the way I see it. The dude is an absolute freak athletically at the combine. For sub 4.5 at his size, that's wild. Mismatch nightmare. I think you can get away with it. I really do. I haven't talked about it yet on stream, but that's how I see Eli Stowers anyways. Man, I'm going to end up pulling somebody up here. And it's going to be Kamara. I don't really like this click whatsoever, but I kind of have to do it. I'm not taking Charbonnet on a team like this, though I guess it's defensible. I'm not taking Bigsby when I have Goddard. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not taking Dylan Sampson when I have Boston. I don't think that makes much sense. I'm not taking Tucker when I have Gainwell. I don't think that makes much sense. So then Kamara is just kind of the next guy up. Plus, I don't mind him whatsoever. I do like Kamara. It seems like he's definitely going to be on this team. So, 14th round Kamara. I'd rather 15th, 16th, 17th round Kamara, but it's fine. It's fine. There's just no other clicks here. Like, these wide receivers aren't doing it for me. I'm not taking Antonio Williams when I have McLaurin. I'm not drafting Stribling ever. I'm not necessarily drafting Branch ever. Adonai Mitchell would have been fine, but I think that Kamara is a better click in a vacuum, I suppose. And then it's just Jeremy Bernard pairs up with my Tennessee week 17. I think it makes sense. He's the best click on the board anyways. My projections love Bernard. He's at the top. So let's just do that. Jeremy Bernard's always a good click. Always and forever will be a good click. What's your thoughts on Shaheed? I have a lot of shares. I don't have a crazy amount of shares of Shaheed. I'm concerned about a new play caller, new offensive coordinator, comes from San Francisco. So does he play the Ayuk Pearsall type of role? I doubt it. I think that's still JSN. Like, I don't really know where he fits. I am drafting him a little bit. He's obviously just a big play, boomer bust, one play from, scoring a touchdown kind of a player. That's who he is. That's who he's always going to be. Returns, kicks, punts, that sort of stuff, plays on special teams. He's certainly not a draft focus for me, Shaheed, but I like him enough that I take him a little bit. Again, structurally, probably would have been the best pick there instead of Goddard anyways. I probably should have went down that road. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. There's a lot of just word salad there, but I don't know. He's not a focus, but I am drafting him a little bit. I just don't exactly know what his role is going to be in this offense. That's my big concern with Shaheed, is I don't exactly know where he fits. Most guys, I just talked about, stowers. I have a good feel for where I think that they're going to fit. Where if I were a play caller in the NFL, that's where I would use that player. With Shaheed, I mean, I would use him exactly how he's been used for his entire career, and maybe that is exactly how he'll be used, but I don't know, because he's been with Clint Kubiak for a good chunk of his career, and he's no longer there. So, yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum. You're the 0 RB bro this year, so let's see you cooking those late round dart throws. I am, which is wild. I've never, ever, ever been a 0 RB bro, ever. I've always gone just against what everyone else is doing. Not because I want to be different and I think it's fun and cute, because I think that that's the strategy. Just zig when everyone else is zagging and take the value wherever the value is. And the value has always historically been at running back. It's not anymore. We're definitely going to be going with Emmett Johnson here. Emmett, EJ's a smash for me right here. So let's do that. I like Mike Washington a lot down here. I like Emmett Johnson down here. I like Ray Davis. I like Katron. I like Braylon. Jaden Blue, I get a little bit of. I wouldn't say that he's like a focus for me. I think Jordan James is the running back too there. George Holani's defensible these days, considering the camp buzz that he's getting. And even though I don't like the offense at all, you could draft DJ Giddens as well. That's not who I was getting at just there with that, what I started saying. But DJ Giddens is fine down here. But Ollie Gordon is a guy that I like a fair amount. And maybe I can make a case for drafting him here. But I don't like the offense, obviously, in Miami. But I do like Ollie Gordon, in a lot of builds, especially 6 running back builds. If it's a 7 running back build, I definitely like Ollie Gordon. I could stop at 7 here, but I don't think it's as strong. I don't think it's strong enough to stop at 7. And I think that this is strong enough to stop at 6. So I think it's going to be a 3-6. Sorry, 2-6-8-2. And we're going to do Braylon over Ollie Gordon. I think that's the way to go. And then we're done here at running back. Our last click will be a wide receiver. But these are those are the guys that I'm kind of taking my late round dart throws as far as running back is concerned. Ollie Gordon is the guy that's always there that I take a fair amount of. Chris Brooks, a little bit, some sprinkles. I think Malik Davis is actually, a little bit of a, I know everybody likes Jaden Blue. But Malik Davis has never fumbled in his career. Not a huge sample size, but he's never fumbled. So, and appears to be in the lead for RB2 job. You know, they trust him. They like him. Malik Davis, I have a couple sprinkles of as well. So those are kind of the guys that I late round dart throw at running back. Judy is also midseason trade candidate. That's for sure. That's why his ADP is suppressed. I think he definitely is more of a candidate than Tony Pollard. That's for sure. So we'll see. I think this was from the Stowers conversation. I actually have more shares of Stowers than Goddard, but never considered him wide receiver candidate. I do too, for sure. Stowers than Goddard. He'll be a tight end in, name, right? And in underdog on draft circles, and in name, he'll be a tight end, but I think he'll play a lot of X outside wide receiver for the Eagles. That's what I think. That's what I see. They have no one else to do it. Who else on that roster can play X wide receiver? Right? None. No one. No one on that roster can play that position, essentially. And Eli Stowers did some of that at Vanderbilt. And then look at his combine numbers. Comes in at 6'3 3/4. Let's go ahead and call it 6'4, 239 pounds. 300 pounds would be crazy. I thought he got to 4'9, but 4'5", 40. That's plenty fast enough to play wide receiver in the NFL. So that's just the way they're going to move him around a fair amount, I think. I think that he's going to be just like a bit of a weapon, but I think he's going to line up as an X wide receiver a fair amount when it comes to the Eagles. So, yeah. Yeah, played quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end at New Mexico State before ultimately settling at tight end, right? So he definitely plays a little bit of that. And yeah, I like that's the way I see it for the Eagles offense. I'm sure you hate to see an entire sheet of wide receivers when you went 0 RB, brutal run out. What do you mean? What are we talking about here? I don't know what you mean. 3 spot going with the 1 QB build. Who needs QB depth? That's wild. Hurts. Oh, he brings it back with Geno and Brissett. I don't like that strategy personally, but that's okay. What do I know? We're definitely going to go with Jalen Knoll here. That's an auto click as our final wide receiver. That's awesome that he's there. Like I said, there's better clicks than Keon Coleman, and Jalen Knoll's one of them. I think that Malachi Fields is another one of them personally, but we're going Knoll here. That's fun. This is a fun team. I think this is a type of team that can do well in this contest. Kenneth Walker usually misses 4 games a year. I think Emmett Johnson a couple spike games. I 100% agree with that. Like, Kenny Walker hasn't been a model of consistency throughout his career, and no team has been willing to give him that kind of a workload. I think there's definitely some meat on the bone for Emmett Johnson, and I think he is that guy over DeMercado for sure, over Brashard Smith, who I liked a fair amount last year, but I just didn't like what they had on the roster is really why I like Brashard Smith. But either way, I like Emmett Johnson a hell of a lot more than Brashard Smith. So here we are. I agree with that, though. He's never been the model of consistency, his dependability, his availability, right? And no one's been willing to give him a high workload. So I think you can still give him a good 14 carries, total of 16, 17 touches per game, and still have some meat on the bone for a guy like Emmett Johnson. So yeah, I like Emmett Johnson a lot down here personally. 2682 again in our Frenchie 7, our only single entry, $20, $10K up top. Josh Allen, Cam Ward. I think that's fine. I'm happy with that. Pulled up Cam Ward because I kind of had to. But where did I get him again? Which round? 12 or something? 11. Yeah, I think that's fine. Typically a 12th rounder, but again, I had to get my guy. So there you go. Tony Pollard pairs up with Ward, Kyle Monangai, Kenny Gainwell, Kamara, Emmett Johnson, Braylon Allen. I think that's fine. I think that can fully work. I feel like I'm way ahead of the game at quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver. I think this type of a running back room can get me there. Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Wan'Dale Robinson, Denzel Boston, Jeremy Bernard, Jalen Knoll. That's strong. I feel like that's really strong. I feel like that can really do some damage, get it done. Wandell pairs up with Ward as well. I like that wide receiver room. Then Brock Bowers and Goddard. I don't like the Goddard click at all. Seeing his name there kind of kills me, but really it doesn't matter when I have Bowers. So it's fine. It's definitely fine, but I definitely don't love the Goddard click. It was kind of a panic click. It was kind of a panic click, and I don't like that. I could have taken Chig. I had him queued up, and maybe that was the correct click. I don't know. Or Strange, maybe. It's all fine. It's all the same realistically when you have Brock Bowers. So it's kind of whatever. I just don't like the way it looks, but it's fine. Solid team. I like this team. I think it can definitely work. I think it can work. Sorry, TS didn't know about DFS banning deal. Who initiated that crapola? You know, I'm in BC. Cannot believe that crap will go down in Alberta. 100%. It is pretty wild. Obviously, the government of Alberta kind of thing. They followed the Ontario model, Play Alberta or whatever it is, iGaming Alberta, something like that. They want to keep all the money, sort of thing. It's just greed, essentially, is what it is, if you ask me. So it really sucks. We'll see. I'm pretty optimistic that we're going to be fine, but you never know. Like I said, Underdog could announce that they're pulling out tomorrow. You never know. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, but we'll keep everybody updated on that one. Appreciate that, Dynasty, drafting with me there. Was a fun draft, I thought there. Hurts has a good connection with Goddard. Rookies can start slow. Maybe he's who you need. Yeah, I think he has the best connection. Devontae's got a good connection with Hurts as well, especially on the dance floor. But Goddard's definitely been a guy for him. We'll see if there's going to be touchdown regression for sure. But again, it doesn't really matter at tight end when you have Brock Bowers. I think it's just all the same, realistically. Goddard was Hurts' favorite red zone target, and now the second target is gone. Rookie's coming on. Good draft. Appreciate that, man. Yeah. Appreciate that. It was a fun one. We'll keep everybody in the loop, obviously, when it comes to the whole Underdog Best Ball thing, the pulling out and banning in Alberta. We'll see where it goes, but fingers crossed for now. We'll be back on probably Monday night. I don't think I have anything going on, so it should be Monday night. We'll be back drafting. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. BB, Best Ball on call. Smash the like. Appreciate you popping in, man. We're going to get out of here for the night. Like I said, we'll be back Monday. Have yourselves a great night. Like we always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we were right. We win the Frenchie. We win the Poodle. Like I said, have yourselves a great night. We'll see you.